Hello, good morning, actually good afternoon right now, I think. Yes, it's 12 o'clock. And welcome to the webinar and the Q&A session about the Club Olala. My name is Llyane Stanfield, and I am with Joualette's French learning method. And the main website, if you haven't been here before, the main website is www.jouellette.com, j-ouellette.com. And I'm delighted to appear in front of my tree, my Christmas tree. Just wanted to make it a little more festive. So I know you also have the tree if you celebrate Christmas. If you don't, then enjoy mine. And today I would like to explain a little more how you can use your body's intelligence to help you learn faster French and anything else for that matter. It is pretty much linked to the fact that speaking a foreign language, a second, third, fourth language, is performance. You use somebody else's words. They're not yours, and you have to own them so well that you get to inhabit them. Once you inhabit them, then there's no, you're throwing out the window the theory of the language in our case, the theory of the learning itself. And eventually express yourself, which is what you want to do in the first place. So this is really what you want to do with French. You want to express yourself. You want to be yourself. And I would like to first address this point of being yourself in a foreign language. And I'm sure that I speak for most that speaking a foreign language creates a persona. We don't really feel like we are ourselves really. And the reason that is because we really are not entirely ourselves. What is ourselves? So personality, I hope they're like my neighbors are speaking a little loud, and I hope you don't hear that. So personality is made out of different the habits that we have, and we are what we do most of. And when we grow up, we take on, I should say, immerse ourselves and assimilate different habits, things that we do, our parents do, and neighbors do, friends do. It's the entire persona that we take on and eventually becomes us because it's the most familiar. And language comes with all that. So the wiring, the initial wiring, which happens before we turn 6, not right there, but right about there. The initial wiring is made out of everything that surrounds us, which includes, of course, a lot of, I'm not sitting too well. There we go, it's prettier. So everything that surrounds us, traditions, not so much traditions, because those we can, and probably are the first ones that we leave behind. But the ways that our parents behave, and this is why, apart from the DNA, this is why we behave the way we behave, and this is why we are like our parents or unlike our parents, because we preferred to take on some traits and preferred to or resisted some others. And language comes with it. So that is why that creates the familiar us. Who am I changes in time, and who you feel right now, if you close your eyes and you just see who you are and how you feel yourself as being, and what you recognize as being familiar, is probably something different than it was when you were 5, or when you were, I don't know, it depends on your age. So this is the reason foreign language will put a persona on. We have to put a persona on in order to properly speak a foreign language, because the body dictates that. And going now back to our topic, how is the body helping? How can we use the body to help us? Well, if you think about French, for instance, when the most used vowel in French is E. So if you keep your mouth in the shape of E as much as you can, that's going to give you a certain position of the face as well as entire body. You can't stand as a Southern American, American from the South, I mean to say. You cannot keep the posture of your body as someone from Alabama or Texas, and maybe more Alabama, and speak the and behave and have a proper pronunciation and the proper attitude, French attitude when you're speaking. So the more you are aware of the changes that the language asks of you, the body changes, then the more you're going to respond to them, and the better the French is going to sound, and the better you're going to express yourself. But you have to accept the fact that not feeling yourself when you speak French, not feeling as being yourself when you speak French, is the normal thing that you have to take on and work with, because that is the normal thing that should happen and will always happen. I do have a persona when I speak English, and I have a persona when I speak French. Of course, when I coach, it's probably a little more subtle if I mix the languages. Explaining to an English speaker, I know I have more of a body persona and posture of an American rather than a French. It's probably going to be a mix because I'm wired in a French way. But do have a point of switching personas when you speak long enough. Of course, when you say word to words, that's not going to change. That was my point when I coach an English person. I'm going to probably have a posture and most of, I guess, persona, an English persona. But be aware and mindful of that. The more you accept that, and so being aware of it, first of all, is gonna, okay, I didn't really have to feel weird about it. It's just a normal thing to happen, and it is a normal thing to happen. If you speak another language, for instance, Spanish, now it depends again if you live in America, and you have Spanish-speaking people in America. That's kind of taking on a lot of the American attitude, being a lot of Americans speaking Spanish already. Make a point even then to analyze and study the natives, even of Spanish-speaking natives. If you live in America, you're gonna and you intend to speak more Spanish, and if you do, you're gonna express yourself way better, more fully and more organically if you use this method and take on the persona, the Spanish persona when you speak Spanish. So that is the first thing that it's very important to know when you learn a language if you really want to express yourself really quickly, to allow yourself to express yourself in a French way rather than expressing yourself in English with French words. Then there are some techniques that I use, and they are not too well, not popular, but they're not too well known out there, and so you may not find too much information about them on the internet. So I hope you will, and I am giving a lot of information so that you inform yourself, research. But there are 3 techniques that I'm using, and I'm going to give you the resources as well, so that you can research a little more on your own before deciding to register for the Club Olala, which happens only once a year, and that is to help you follow through your New Year resolution. That's my promise. So the 3 techniques are committed impulse, sense memory, and deep practice. Committed impulse is an approach rather than a technique, and you can find more information on the website committedimpulse.com. It is has been developed by Josh Pais for actors initially. He's an actor, and he's a really big actor. Works with Nicole Kidman, Susan Sarandon, big actor. So he created this approach for listening, initially for actors, and then he created, he adjusted it for anybody who is either a business person or anybody who's actually in a position of presenting, making a presentation, putting themselves out there, performing something. And as I said at the beginning, a language is a performance for the reasons I stated before. And so if you missed the beginning, please go at the beginning of the webinar and listen to that part. So because of that, committed impulse is crucial as an approach for people who need to listen. Listening is something we think we do, and the way we are wired by society, by all societies, most, I guess, well, 90% of them. The way to listen is to hear and compare with what we already know. So I listen to learn. Why do I listen? I listen to understand you. I listen to have the information. I listen to for some reason, right? So I listen with a goal in mind. Having a goal in mind makes the listening less of a listen, because we hear what the person says and then we compare with the information we already know. What that does to us is slows down the learning very, very much. It sometimes even doesn't allow the learning at all. Because if resistance comes into play as we hear someone speaking, then we don't learn. We will just stay with what we know. So listening for the listening to hear the silence between the sounds, is a skill that comes in very handy, and it's very hard to master because we are not used to doing that. Because we think that listening from the other person's perspective or point of view, as if we were speaking those words, if we listen that way, we give up on our own convictions, on our own point of view, of our own personality and who we are. And I'm here to challenge that. Listening is just opening that kind of listening from the other person's point of view, and just to hear the silence between the sounds. That is, when you listen for the silence between the sounds, it makes it so that you really hear the sounds. When we listen this way, we are able to learn. We are opening ourselves for information that was not in our, I guess, luggage, in our baggage of knowledge before. And when you learn French, or when you learn anything, this is the way to listen, assuming you don't know. It's hard for us to listen assuming that we don't know, accepting that we don't know. But that point of view, that approach, helps us really learning 10 times faster. This plays fantastically well in the dictates. And a dictate is not so much, not only an exercise, but is also I guess, in your life, you will, a lot of times you are going to write based on what someone else is speaking. That's what a dictate is. But what we do when we have a dictate, we listen and then we write. When in the dictate, in fact, when we do that exercise, interestingly enough, what we do is we say it in our head again, and then we write. So when we write, we are actually writing what we are saying in our head. We're not writing what we hear. Provided that you heard everything really well, you are going to write really well. But if you didn't hear really well and you're saying to your head something that you've done before, you've said before, based on your old habits, of course, what you're writing is going to reflect that. So if you notice little children, when they learn how to write, when someone says something to them, for them to write down, what they will do, they will actually say out loud what they heard, and then they will write. So this is exactly what we do as adults, only we don't say it out loud anymore. We just say it in our head, and that's how we write. And so the dictate was going to reflect the old habits. Unless we hear and we listen properly, we will not be able to do a dictate, which means we will not be able to write based on what someone says. But more important than that, we are not able to reproduce what someone says. And when you learn a language, that's exactly what we do. We imitate what someone else says. So when you hear what someone says and you compare with what you already know, you are going to alter the information that comes to you, and you're going to still rely on your own habits. That's how learning gets so much slower than we want it to be. And so I want to tell you that the committed impulse is an approach for us to learn how to listen, so that once we hear something, we can immediately reproduce, and we can correctly, and we can immediately assimilate correctly. And that is making the learning so much faster. And so and also you can learn as you are, say you are in France, in Paris, you can also imitate quicker and learn quicker through imitation as you are in Paris or in France, what the natives are saying there, so that you can add to your language, your own expression of French immediately, rather than to have to practice, to wait for a long time for it to assimilate and to be used by you. So committed impulse does that. It helps you learn way faster. I said 10 times. It's really much faster. Then we have sense memory. Sense memory is the next step after muscle memory. So we know, or most of us know, what muscle memory is. And muscle memory is, we all know, if you didn't know, muscle memory is after you practice some exercise, the muscle eventually will know without you thinking, will know what to do without you thinking. So as an example, and as a classical example for all of us, we all experience this when we have our best friend or our parents' phone number and we keep dialing and dialing. If we don't put it on speed dial, let's say we dial it all the time. And so after a while, say we take a break and we didn't call them for a while, but then when we call them again, the finger is going to go to the numbers we may not remember the number, but the finger will know where to go, and that is muscle memory. Sense memory is a little, it's the next step. It's using muscle memory, but it's the next step where we use all the senses, and it's something that is our best friend when we're learning something. See, when you have a teacher, a coach, or a guide of some sort, you can be corrected. So it's a comfort there, right? So what do we do when we don't have them anymore? How do we guide ourselves? So with pronunciation, because I have the pronunciation course, and that will be included in Club Olala. People from Club Olala will experience that, and they'll know the rules of pronunciation, 70 or so of them. With the pronunciation, a lot of people recommend that we should look into the mirror and see how the mouth is shaped when we pronounce the word, so that we guide ourselves into memorizing pronunciation. First of all, when we look in the mirror, we don't have a real guide, because the pronunciation doesn't really happen only on the lips. Secondly, we don't have a mirror with us when we go make conversation. Hopefully we don't look in the mirror when we make conversation. So that means that it's useless to practice in the mirror if I can't rely on that particular practice in the real world. And thirdly, when we look in the mirror, we become very self-conscious, and focus is lost, from the pronunciation to our own judgment. So really good reasons to not or to not use this technique, not even at the beginning. It's just a waste of time because it won't help us in the long run. But with pronunciation, when you have some guide, the best way to remember or to memorize correct pronunciation, would be to feel what feels in the mouth when you pronounce the correct. So hopefully you are corrected by someone, or when you listen to, let's say, a tape, and you'd listen to the tape, and hopefully you hear your own mistakes. If you hear your own mistakes, that's great. And you listen to the tape, and then you listen to yourself. And so listening to yourself and the tape, in comparison, your ear is going to pick it up. But the important thing is, when your ear corrects, when you correct yourself based on what you hear, most focus should be put into what you feel in your mouth, because that is what you are taking with you. That never changes for that one sound. So it's important to learn how to use sense memory, which is not so much memorizing, or is not only memorizing how you feel in the mouth, but also the autocorrection in between all the senses, right? That you have is the tactile sense in your mouth, is the muscle, because the muscle knows after practice what to do, but then you have to tweak it, and this is a tactile sense. Then it's the hearing sense. So all the senses, or more senses, come together to help you pronounce correctly, and express yourself in French, and not, I guess, make a confusion between words, as in English would be bit, beat, live, leave, right? So it's important to have the pronunciation down, because you don't want to say other words that you mean to say. And the third technique that I use and I would like to talk about is deep practice. We all want to learn fast, and the faster we speak, the more we feel like we sound like French people. And it's important and frustrating and challenging in the same time, because we know as adults how to express ourselves with a certain speed, but we can't have that speed when we start learning. So a lot of people have, you feel like you are speak like a 2-year-old. You can't quite speak with the sophistication and humor and personality and wit that you have in English, and that's a very big frustration and challenge, and sometimes more too often a turn off from learning French or other foreign language altogether. So the way to work with that is, first of all, we talked about different personas when we speak another language. So you have to you have to reinvent yourself as a French speaker. Yeah, there is no, I could see that. The angel, I didn't show it to you. I was covering it. So you have to reinvent yourself as a French speaker. And imagine that, and you have to reinvent yourself in a useful way that works for you, depending on what level you are with French. So reinvent yourself as a slower speaker. And knowing from my first point, and if you didn't hear the other techniques that I recommend, where you use your body in order to speak faster and more relaxed in French, please go at the beginning of the video, because you have hugely important information there regarding that technique. So when you know that you put on a different persona in French and you're okay with that, then there's no reason why that persona would not be like a slower speaker. I had people ask me, clients ask me, well, when I speak with a French and I speak slower, wouldn't they think that I'm a snob? It sounds like that in English, maybe, but they know you learn. So, and that's first point, they know you learn. Secondly, let me give you a little story. On the set, someone was on a movie set, someone was asking, a continuity person was panicking about a glass of water that they had to keep putting at the half, because that's where the continuity was between takes. And so they kept filling that glass of water between takes, so that is at that particular level where the previous take would have left it. And I can't exactly remember which big director, Fellini or Spielberg. I can't exactly remember. One of the biggest directors. I think Spielberg said that. If the audience will see that the water was at a different level in the glass, that means that I'm not telling a compelling story. Same with you. If people will get to feel that you speak too slowly, and they'll start judging that. That means that you are not focusing on the story, because what you focus on, you are advertising. If you focus and think about the speed of your speech, you're going to advertise that, and people are going to notice that. But you are focusing on what it is that you are saying, putting in every knowledge of French that you have, and finding that sweet spot of speed where it's not too fast, not fast enough, right? So it has to be in the sweet spot, your sweet spot, and each word's sweet spot. Then you will tell a story that is going to be compelling, or whatever it is that you say. Everything that we say is a story. So whatever it is that you say, it's going to become compelling enough so that the speed of your speech is not going to be noticeable anymore. Focus on speaking correctly rather than the speed, and let the speed come however it comes. As in, what I mean is to say with this is that each word will have a different speed. Each word has to have a different speed. So if you speak every word, if you're saying every word with the same speed, we don't do that in our mother tongue. So why would you do that in French? So, but in order to do that, you have to be so aware of everything that you're saying in each word. that you'd eventually know which words are more challenging for you, and you're going to slow down which words are more easier, and you're going to speak faster. Deep practice, however, is so. What I have done with just saying this is just to give you a little perspective on what is supposed to be. How important is speed? Is it important? Not at all. Should you speak as slowly as, I don't know, what I don't know, why not? I have people starting with my intensive program from 0, and we make conversation from lesson 1, and we make conversation slowly, sure, basic words and sentences, of course. But is there a story told there? Sure, I learn a lot about them, they learn a lot about me. So it is the communication that is the most important, not the words, not the speed, not anything else. The communication, all these words and verbs and accent and everything else comes to create a clear communication, but not the other way around. So communication, the clarity of communication is the most important. That's what you should focus on. And speed comes naturally on its own, the way it comes. Deep practice is the way, once you're okay with this speed problem, deep practice is a technique that you will learn in, there's a book that's called The Talent Code, written by Daniel Coyle. And he studied the hotbeds of high performance people. And so this deep practice is the one that is used by all of them. I'm using it too, because everybody who learns with me becomes high performance speaker. So the way the brain works is through repetition. So numbers are important. The number of repeats are important. Anthony Hopkins runs his lines 250 times. So repeats are important. How do we do those repeats so that we don't get to 1,000 and so on, right? Well, interestingly enough, the speed matters, and the speed helping the most is very, 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 very low speed. So it is said that in one of the hotbeds of high performance musicians, one of the coaches told their students who were learning to play the violin they were learning to play the violin, and they were practicing a piece which is very popular, and anybody would, let's say Happy Birthday, but was not that, it was something different. But let's say Happy Birthday song, or any kind of song that you'd practice. You have to practice it so slowly that if someone passes by the window, does not recognize that song. So going back to us with French, when we speak, in order to learn to pronounce correctly, we have to speak so slowly that a bypasser would not catch the sentence. And that helps you be so much more okay with speaking slowly. What that does is helps the brain create the synapses faster because they are clearer. When we learn anything, we're learning from people who are doing things fast, as we learn how to speak French from people who are speaking fast. So that, but in order for us to learn, doesn't have to be that fast. What the brain does. What we do, we repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. What is the goal of this repetition? The goal of this repetition is to offer the brain the pattern so many times that it can break it down into the basic elements, burn it into the memory, and then serve them to us when we speak. Well, that breakdown of the basic elements of anything that we learn, so that's language or dance or anything else, is so much faster. He says 10 times faster. Daniel Coyle says that. When we actually speak or practice slower, way slower, 10 times slower, because we actually help the brain break it down so much faster, right? So if I repeat in 5 minutes, that's 60 seconds. So in 5 minutes, if I repeat a word 30 times, I'm gonna memorize it. But I can do the same thing if I repeat it 4 times in 2 minutes. So speed is going 100 times higher, as in we're doing it 10 times, not 100, 10 times faster. We are helping our brain rather than making our brain work to pick up the details of what we're learning. We're actually serving our brain each detail one by one. That is in greater detail explained in the talent code, which I definitely recommend that you read. I do apply that technique in my method, and you will have it in Club Olala when you join. So what we learned was that I have 3 techniques that I'm going to help you with in order to learn French faster, more relaxed, and with so much more fun. And those are committed impulse, sense memory, and deep practice. And now I would like to go to present to you the program Olala, Club Olala, and to go to the questions, because everybody has questions about Club Olala. So I'm going to look at, where is that page that I have for Club Olala? I found it. Okay, so I'm going to give you the, I'm going to share the screen, and also we'll yes, I think it is. Let me see. I'm trying to share. It's nothing here. Okay. Okay. Yep, doesn't want to do that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to, what's this? Oh yeah, no, actually that should go. Let's see. Yes, good. So in the meantime, I'm going to go look for questions. But Club Olala is a program that is a group program It starts in a week on January the 5th. And it is definitely for people who want to make conversation in French and want to go on a trip to Paris. And my guess is that most people started somewhere, most people tried to learn, may not have gotten anywhere too far. And this is also for people who didn't learn French at all, ever. So you don't have to have any background in French to come to this program. And you also can be a little more advanced. But the main requirement is that you are not, you need help for conversation. So I'll meet you there. That's the point. So whatever level you are at, I will meet you there, and you will have help in the club. The club Oh La La program runs once a year at this time at the beginning of January. So January and February. Last day, I think, is March 1st. And it's 8 weeks, and you will get a module with videos and PDFs and a lot of fun stuff and vocabulary to learn on your own during the week. When you practice, you can have, and I recommend that you have a partner in the club. So everybody will have a partner in the club to practice with during the week. And then we will have a weekly live session. So you'll have it with me, where you will ask questions as well as make conversation with me or with your partner. So it depends on how you really want to do this. I am open to your suggestions, as in, if you want to adjust it in a way that works better for you, I'm perfectly open to do that. And there's no reason why you shouldn't find a way to make this work for you. Again, I'm very open and open to suggestions. I'll do whatever works for everybody. We also have a Facebook group that where you'll definitely have a one-on-one support from me. Any question that you have, please post them there, and you will have my help every day. So you will have 100 bite-sized video tutorials. You will also have motivation from me, accountability with your group and with your Facebook group, as well as with your accountability or conversation partner. La Phrase Française, that's going to be a collection of PDF documents that you will have access to. By the way, you will have access to this forever, for the lifetime of the program. And you'd, as you know, as they add up, you will definitely have access to them there. You will also have access to the next program in the next year after you registered with us. The information, not the calls, but the information. And yeah, that's what I was saying. Membership site. Who am I? If you don't know me, Llyane Stanfield, and I work with people who are ready to go outside of their comfort zone. And I am saying here that I am where you are. I was where you are, but I am working on my English language. And so you can use my techniques as you see them working and as you feel that they work for you. So the program, the duration of the program is 8 weeks. Delivery week, it's the weekly self-study modules plus live coaching calls. You have private Facebook group where you get one-on-one support. Registrations will end January the 4th, and the program starts January the 5th, which is perfect for your New Year resolution. This is the goal of this program, to help you, to help support your New Year resolution. It is statistically proven that people quit their New Year resolutions after 2 weeks. So, and then they feel bad about it, and then they put it, you know, on the bucket list for the next year. And so that's how you're passing and you don't go to Paris and enjoy yourself. Topics covered: basic vocabulary, genders, and phrase construction. Verse 101. Actually, we have a 101 verbs conjugated for you on video. And then, topics for conversation that you want to practice with. So packing and preparing a trip, French cuisine and French etiquette, where to sleep, eat, and shop in Paris, touristic itinerary, the secret Parisian gems, French culture, music, movies, etc. Conversation during weekly calls or with your chosen club member. Bonuses, fun bonuses every week, cheat sheets, conversation lifesavers, as well as discussions regarding the art of dating Paris, where language meets chemistry. Romance, French romance, I'm going to add that there. So the payment right now is $247 in one payment, or you can subscribe for 3 payments of $89. And who this program is for: if your New Year's resolution is to learn another skill and French is on your list, then this is for you. And if you have trouble with conversation, no matter your level, then you're in the right place. This is not for. If you want to become fully bilingual in 2 months, then this program is definitely not for you. We have a lot of testimonials, and these are 2 of them who refer to dramatic improvement in the language within 5 weeks. And so in order to read more testimonials, go to read them, go to clubolala.com. So this is just redirecting to this page. And you have 100% risk-free satisfaction guarantee. What happens if the group program doesn't work for you? What if the group program is not suitable with your style of learning? What if you freeze and can't quite take advantage of the conversation sessions? If this is the case for you, please let me know during the 8-week program, and I will make sure I'll adjust things specially for you. If you're still not getting full value from the program, I'll jump on Skype and we'll give you 2 full hours of undivided attention. So that's going to be one-on-one to address all the problems that you came across during the program. This is the time to take action. It's now or next year. I know that it's so much harder to do it without help and without the community. Doing it on our own, anything that we try to do on our own doesn't work. I've tried too many things on my own not to know know this. So definitely take action. If you are listening and watching here on this webinar, please do take action. Do have everything that, put everything in place. This is not a big price, but it gives you a lot of access to your own communication in French. It's no way why you wouldn't be able to do that. So I'm just going to go to some questions now. All right. Okay. I'm just looking at some questions. Oh, I just restarted it. See if I can have some questions answered here. So please let me know if you have any questions. Oh, okay. I'm right there. So while you read this, I'm going to look for some more questions. And then we'll call it a day. Yeah, I have a question. Will I be able to make conversation between the sessions? Yes, you will. You have a partner. You're going to have a partner in the club where you will be with whom you'd be able to make conversation and practice between the live sessions. And so now it's up to you if you want to. Yeah, it's up to you if you want to have one partner for the whole program or one partner every week. I suggest that you have the same partner every week. Sorry, the same partner through the entire program. You shouldn't change the partners. I don't recommend that you do. This is definitely not enough time to know each other. So I'm just gonna go up on this to show you the program again. Okay, there we go. Like that. So do have the same partner during 8 weeks. It takes some getting used to. People get used to each other and with the way they speak and the way they pronounce and the way they formulate their speed and the way they formulate the sentence and all that. It takes a little getting used to the program. It takes a little getting used to your own pace with me, and so you don't need another moving piece. It's very important that you practice every week if you want to take fully advantage of all this. Again, you'll have access to this for the lifetime of the program, not to the live sessions. I mean, you'll have access to the live sessions this year. And as you stay on the program, as in like in the group, in the Facebook group and so on, you're gonna have all the information that everybody else will get in the next years to come. But this is just the last 100 meters, I could call it, as it is in sports. So we only have up to January the 4th. I'm not looking for a big group, so the spots are limited. So if you want to secure your spot, I recommend that you do subscribe to the program today. So to get to this URL, it's a little longer, but do go to clubolala.com, clubhohla.com, and you land on this page. And I hope that I'll see you in the program. I just need some water. I didn't prepare with water. I'm so sorry. So again, this concludes the, this concludes the webinar today. And apparently I looked at the questions, and apparently I had answered everybody's questions for today. We will have another webinar. If you missed this, we will have another webinar tomorrow. And that will be at 6 p.m. Monday, December 29th at 6 p.m. So thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you in the club. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.